is Derek.
Oh, you won't see Derek for a while yet. Maybe about 11 o'clock he might rock up in his little moggy. But, not yet.
Where's Derek today?
Well, Derek's elusive, isn't he? We never see much of him, really. Unless he wants his lorry unloading, then, of course, he rocks up.
You won't be surprised to know that the elusive one has escaped the office and is on his way to relieve someone of their prized possessions.
It is a dangerous thing, and you can get carried away. They all resonate with me. It's just stuff that I've really liked in the past.
Alan Symes has clearly got enough cars, but as any obsessive collector will tell you, there's actually no such thing as enough cars.
Like Metros, I've got 2 Metros, so, you know, who needs 2 Metros, but I just love Metros.
And then, when your garage is full and you fancy another car, a long period of soul-searching begins, followed by a period of great doubt.
Give me a bullet point list of what you're thinking that might go to Mathewson. So what have we got?
Austin A30, Metro GTA, Chrysler Alpine, and a little boat with a 1950s engine in it.
There's also a TVR, a Triumph Dolomite, and a Lada Riva.
Why have you got a Lada?
It was offered to me by a friend who'd had it for quite a few years, and he asked me to go take it for an MOT for him. And he knew that if I got in that car and drove it, me being me, I'd say, can I buy this car from you? Don't sell it anywhere else. And then I bought it.
You just don't see them now?
You don't see any of them. And yet you can get in that car, it'll start up, and you can go anywhere in it.
Alan has a good idea of what his precious cars are worth, and Derek has a good idea of what they will actually sell for. It's not always the same thing.
Lovely to meet you, mate.
You too.
You just show me what we want to see, or show me what you want to move.
Chrysler Alpine. You see, you don't see them anymore.
No, you don't. No.
In bark metallic.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Great car. Great car. Absolutely great car. They really, really were. They were so underrated. You know, they rattled if you didn't have the right tool to adjust.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But I tell you what, they were so economical. You get 40 odd at the gallon out of that.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's nice to drive.
And they're fast. You know, they're quick. You know.
Yeah.
It all got a bit messy with car names in the late 70s. Roots, who made Sunbeams, became Chrysler, who were Talbot, Matra and Sunbeam, as well as Simca. Indeed, the Alpine, which was the name for a Sunbeam, started life in France as a Simca, but became a Chrysler in the UK just before it became a Talbot. Buried in the politics of UK car manufacturing was a really good car that beat the BMW 3 Series to become European Car of the Year. Despite the accolades, Alpine sales were trounced by Ford and Vauxhall. The Talbot Solara with its massive boot was the last hurrah. And just as you thought you were getting the hang of who made what car and where, Chrysler brought out some limited editions. The Minx, the Rapier and the unforgettable Summertime Special.
Little boat, if you want to have a go with that. 1950s. Got a Stuart Turner RM3 engine in it.
You had it sailing, have you?
Yeah, we've had it on the river at York, yeah. It runs really well.
How about that? Amazing, isn't it?
I mean, I've painted all the wood and rebuilt... Well, painted the engine, rebuilt the engine, so... Bought an old instruction manual for it.
I rate that.
Yeah.
I do. We sell odd things like this.
Well, it's just a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Janet and I went to the river at York this year. Just once.
Oh, yeah. Just poodling along,
Just put along, yeah. Yeah, from...
Not skiing.
No. It was skiing. No, well, you'd sink.
Handy down here, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I only live 2 miles down the road, so it's perfect.
Derek's helping car collector Alan with a dilemma. How to trim a car collection whilst simultaneously expanding it. And with perfect journalistic timing.
So what is it, Alan? Is it sort of half a dozen out and 8 in? Is that how it works?
Well, yeah. No.
Sorry, no, it's not. No, we won't mention that. No.
It's half a dozen out, maybe 1 or 2.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I do apologise.
That'll do. Don't worry about fingers. Thank you very much, yeah.
That's all you've come for, really.
That's lovely. Oh, she's a good cook, John. Very good, no? Very light.
Surprised.
Want to go on the bake-off, you? All I need from you, really, give us some ideas what I've got to aim for.
Yeah.
That's the best thing, really.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an idea whether I think I could achieve it. I won't waste your time. What are we aiming for on something like that?
1,500.
Mini we're keeping. Metro, yep.
Three and a bit.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
TVR's one that can go as well.
Right.
That's done 60,000.
Right.
4-litre Chimera.
Right. What are you talking about? 10 grand?
Yeah. Bang on, yeah. Chrysler Alpine. Again, it's a difficult one. 3. It's finding the man.
Personally, I think it'd do more.
Do you?
Yeah. So that's 3, you're right. Yeah. I personally think it'd do more.
There's only one area of disagreement. A car Alan may be overpaid for because his dad had one. A common error.
Triumph. What have we got?
Yeah, that can go. That's done 60, I think. This is probably the least tidy of all the cars.
Yeah.
Because it's a Triumph.
Yeah.
And they do tend to rot.
They do.
6-ish.
No, I don't think it'd do that. We just sold one very, very similar. I think it made 4 something.
Did
400.
it?
Yeah, so I wouldn't waste your time with that. I couldn't do that.
Right, no, appreciate that.
The car I'm pleased to see, above all else, is the Alpine. Some guy said you sort of slate things like Triumphs and Dolomites, Sprints particularly, and you bum up Cortinas, and you can't help doing that if you've dealt in both, and one has made you a load of money and the other one's lost you a load of money. And I've sold dozens, probably hundreds of Alpines, and they've always done me well. So I've got a soft spot for them. Most people didn't realise how good they were, but they're actually a really, really good car. So I've got a cup of tea, a couple of bits of cake, we've seen eye to eye on motors, and we've had a deal. That's it, isn't it? Everyone's a winner.
It was all going so well.
Listen to that. Alpine. Can you hear it? Row, 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 row. They were rattly old things. Well, they're a Simca engine. That's what they are, like on a slant, Simca engine. But a good engine, lively engine, very, what I said earlier, very quick car, very lively, powerful car, Yeah, they're good. I honestly don't remember having a disgruntled customer with one of these. I really don't, I honestly don't. And I've sold lots and lots.
Next is the Metro.
Straighten up. Yep, steady away, about 6 inches. It's going to drop, whoa, that's it, just drop into that hole. That's it, you're there. That'll do nicely. Bang on.
And then the A30 van.
About a foot. Come on, come on, come on, come on. That'll do you. Oh, better than I thought. Nice one. Right, I'll make tracks and I want to get back before it's dark, get unloaded. Like, so, thanks for the deal.
No problem.
Do the best we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
So, you've got a bit of room in the garage now.
A lot of room now, yeah.
But you've still got a Triumph Dolomite.
Yep. Looks cute sat in the corner there, though, doesn't it? I'll keep the Dolomite for now. No choice. But look at the space I can fill.
Put some more cars in.
Yep. Well, we'll see. I've got some friends who I'm sure will be looking for me.
The cross-generation selection of vehicles Derek picked up are on their way to sale. And it's the bark brown Alpine that has caught Paul's eye as well.
They were a good car, weren't they? A good driving car. Economical and all the rest of it. But rusted for fun, didn't they? It was that era, wasn't it, where they were just bad, weren't they, really, They didn't really take off, did they? Not like they should have done, really. They just didn't. They made a lot of sense, really, didn't they? Relatively easy to work on, look, plenty of room and all the rest of it. The all-important diagnostic plug, look, same as the old Avenger out there, a diagnostic plug. But yeah, they just, yeah, I don't know. They didn't have a Ford badge, did they? It's a shame, because they were a good car. 4 grandish. Jumps into my mind.
Dave, meanwhile, has spotted the Soviet-era curiosity.
The Lada, probably the rarest car here.
It's basic motoring, isn't it?
There's at least 25 horsepower underneath that bonnet. I mean, it's just, yeah, absolutely. But look, shut like a Golf, John. Shut like a Golf. Yeah, look at that. Lovely, isn't they?
You've got to make you smile.
Yeah, look at that, eh? Look at that. I won't do it anymore because otherwise it might start wearing on that hinge. So leave it at that. It's just a real time warp. In actual fact, on a show field, would create more attention than anything in this building. You can't help but love them, can you, really? They're just one of those things. They're so ugly, you can't help but find them attractive. Value-wise, you'll have to tell me. I genuinely don't know.
I think he was hoping for about 5 or 6.
I was going to say that. It might do that. I was going to say 4, but I thought, no, I bet he set the band a bit higher than that. Let's give it a go. Let's see what we get. And let's face it, if we get a bid, I would imagine of, you know, 4-4, 4-5, 4-6, there'd be some common ground. There'd be a deal done, won't there? I'd love to think.
Ford Escorts, RSs, it's everything. Bentleys to the old Singers. It is brilliant, mate. I love it here.
It's a driving experience. If you look back on it, objectively, heavy, ponderous, difficult to drive, difficult to park. You'd never buy one today. But your mind goes back to the good old days when they were in vogue and everybody wanted one.
Quite looking at the Bentleys, see if he might buy me a Valentine's present.
Lot 270, 1980 Chrysler Alpine GL. What a car. 44 to the gallon out of them, no matter where you go, what you do. Super bit of kit. Start me on it, 3,200, 400, 600, 3,600, 800, 3,800 pound, 3.8, 3,800 pound. I could run that car every day.
Unbelievable condition, that car.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Lovely,
car.
lovely
Wonderful.
car.
3,800, 3.8, 3,800 pound and going then 3,800. Find another in that condition. You'll struggle. Here's the 4, 3,800. Don't forget, there's buying and selling cars and there's keeping cars. That's a keeping car. 3,800. Going for the first. 3,800 for the second. Third and last time.
The vendor, Alan, wanted 4K, but it was close enough. As for the others...
8,000 on my right and sold. 10,600 for the second. Third and last time sold.
And the boat?
£1,100 says Mark's phone for the first, second, third and last time.
Next, the Metro.
£3,000 for the first, second, third and last time.
Which just leaves the Lada.
It was your best Lada joke.
Why do they have heated rear screens? Keep your hands warm when you're pushing them.
The Lada Riva. A very, very unusual little car, because where can you find a Lada Riva? John, where can you find a Lada Riva as nice as this?
I don't know, Dave.
No. Our main cameraman, John, on the show here has got himself a little Riva like this last year, and he's extremely proud of it, aren't you, John?
Apparently so.
Yes, so you should be, because it's a lovely little car. And here we are, we've got another one. Where we're going to be on that £4,000 we've got at £4,000, at £4,000. Find another one. It will create more attention on the show field than the Ferrari. £4,000, at £4,000 then.
I was 16 when we went to America for the launch of the Lada Riva. So there was money in Ladas, clearly, because they looked after their dealers very well. And 3 of us went to America, and we had 5 days in Disney and then 5 days in New Orleans.
4,001 and 2, 4,2, 4,3, at 4,003, 4,004, 4,4, 4,5, at 4,500, at 4,500, there we all done. At 4,500 for the first, 4,005 for the second, third and last time at £4,500.
£4,500 was too low an offer, so the Riva went back to its owner. And if you want one, you might have to hunt around a bit.
The Russians started buying them all back, didn't they, and exporting them back out to Russia, but obviously some still remain.
It's a beautiful drive to work every morning. So I come in about 20 miles commute. It's all on the country roads, all through the national park. So 40-mile-an-hour speed limit's the tops. So I've got a small collection of classics that are ideal for that. I really like cars that were made by the Roots Group, and that's why I was interested in the Alpine when it came up for sale. So I'm John Murden. I'm Chief Executive of the National Motor Museum. I'm here today at Bewley in Hampshire.
7 months in, and John is loving the Alpine.
I like cars that are unusual. They don't have to be fast and they don't have to be particularly sexy. There are fewer than 30 of these cars left, so I think it's pretty unusual. And certainly enough people stop me in a petrol station to want to talk about it to suggest that actually a lot of people remember them fondly. The colour is absolutely a period colour from the late 1970s. The era of the brown car is long gone, I think it's fair to say. And that's one of the things that makes it distinctive, apart from its shape and its age. I think it really fits in with the car. It's part of its whole identity, really. The interior is the most 70s thing about the car. The tan and brown interior, all the different shades of sort of caramel, chocolate and different brown shades in there. If you did, you know, melt a chocolate bar in there, you wouldn't actually notice it because it'd just blend in with everything else that's going on. So one of the features that was really distinctive when the car was new is the hatchback, which was a new idea in 1975. And that you can fold all the seats down, which again, for people who are used to a saloon car, is really different. Everybody's car's like this now. We've all got a hatchback or an SUV, but when this came out, it was really distinctive. And the boot space is enormous as a result. In the handbook, it says there's another function where you can take the front seats forward as well and turn it into a double bed space. So, in theory, you can go camping in the back of this car. It's a complete lifestyle vehicle before the lifestyle vehicle was even thought of. I don't think they caught on because they were a bit too advanced, really, for what the public expected in the mid-1970s. They wanted a 3-box saloon like a Cortina, so a front-wheel drive, transverse, 5-door hatchback was just all a bit too much, really. 10 years later, everybody buys that sort of car, but in 1975, it was just a bit too ahead of the game. And there's even, for 1975, a diagnostic port. If I just show you that. Although I doubt if you go down to your local dealer, they'll have anything that will actually fit that or tell you what the ignition system's doing, but it's quite a nice novelty.
So we've got the National Motor Museum behind us. Where does this fit in there?
That's a difficult question because that's actually my Director of Collections' decision to make. The cars that your mum and dad might have had is definitely an area we're interested in because they're the cars that people can relate to and that they remember. If she ever wanted to borrow it, I'd consider lending it. But no, it hasn't come to Bewley to be in the museum collection. It's staying in my own collection. It's certainly nice enough, but I'm not letting go of it just yet.